Everybody ready? Good morning. Welcome to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Thank you for joining us here this morning. I'm Kyle Bumgarner, the United States Attorney for the Western District of Kentucky. As we all know, between 2020 and 2022, this city experienced an astronomical increase in gun violence. It affected every single one of us. We were scared to go to work. We were scared to go to school. We were scared to go out to eat. That was wholly unacceptable. But today, as we kick off 2026, there's good news. This city is markedly safer. Homicides last year were down nearly 35% from the high water mark in 2022. Non-fatal shootings were down 60% from the high water mark in 2022. While there's more work to do, the trend is unmistakable. Louisville is heading back towards the levels that we saw in 2020 when gun violence erupted in this city. And that's good news for everyone in this community. Why? Why is gun violence down? It starts here. It starts with the men and women of Louisville Metro Police Department, the men and women that Deputy Chief McKinley represents here today, very proudly. They are fantastic officers that are on our streets putting together strong cases that allow us to prosecute them successfully. Chief Humphrey has implemented innovative, data-driven solutions to deter crime, and it's absolutely working in this city. We see the statistics, they're working. In addition, LMPD is giving us as federal agents the privilege of having task force officers. Those task force officers are LMPD officers that are among LMPD's best. They are bright, they are talented, they are thorough, they are good at investigating crime. They are from here, they know this community, and they want to fix it. When they're coupled with our federal agents and our federal resources, only good things happen. Crime goes down. Standing behind me are my federal partners. Every agency is represented here today. These agents are putting together long-term investigations into the criminal element in this town. We know where the problems are. We know who is committing violence in this town. I assure you, we are investigating the violent element of this town. We know who you are, and we're coming for you. I'm privileged to lead the United States Attorney's Office for the Western District of Kentucky. We do our part to combat crime in this town. In 2025, my first year in office, we saw indictments out of this office increase by 50%. We are aggressively charging violent offenders. Under recent years, serious offenses were not always charged to the full extent. Under this Justice Department, that directive has changed. We will charge the most serious, readily provable offense every time without exception. To those committing crime in this town, I suggest you ask your buddies who have been through federal court how things are going recently. Things are different. We are charging aggressively. If we resolve cases, they're on our terms, not the defendant's terms. And if you fail to accept the consequences for your actions, we try the case to a jury of your peers and we seek a conviction. What we're doing is working. It is working because we are all joined together in the same mission of making this a place that is both safe and that feels safe for our citizens. It is my absolute pleasure and honor to stand with these men and women beside me today as we go forward to make an announcement on a wildly successful operation conducted this past weekend. Before I do so, I'd like to ask Deputy Chief Emily McKinley to make a few remarks.
thank you, Kyle, for those words, and thank you for recognizing the work that our officers do every day. It's really honorable that the United States makes that recognition of our officers. So thank you. Again, my name is Emily McKinley, Deputy Chief for LMPD. Again, this case that they are releasing today shows the impact of strong partnerships. When local police and federal agencies work together with the same aligned missions, with the same mindset, we can make real progress in reducing violence. I know Kyle went over numbers compared to 2022, but I want to talk about numbers compared to just last year. Compared to last year, homicides are down 20%, shootings are down 28%, and carjackings down 38%. These are just a few examples of the significant reductions in violent crime because of work just like this. That happens every day in our community by the men and women and the officers of LMPD. What you see here today is just one example. LMPD detectives have worked alongside our federal partners for years, and this last year we secured more than 100 federal indictments, and I think that was double compared to the year before, that targeted the most dangerous criminals in our community. And again, like Kyle discussed, federal prosecution brings unwavering accountability. When criminals are convicted in federal court, there is no parole, there is no early release. They serve that full sentence. And LMPD is committed to continuing these partnerships so we have fewer illegally possessed guns on our streets, fewer drugs, and safer neighborhoods for our families across our city. Look, people deserve to feel safe. They deserve to live in a neighborhood without the fear of violence. And to the violent criminals that are committing these acts, we have this message for you. Everyone you see here today will continue to work together to take you off our streets, to take your guns, to take your drugs, to take your money, and to put you behind bars. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Kyle.
Thank you. We're talking statistics, but I want to be more specific. I'm proud today to announce the results of a widespread operation conducted across Louisville and in Detroit, Michigan this past Saturday. This operation was the culmination of 2 long-term investigations into significant drug trafficking activity. We were investigating high-level volumes of methamphetamine, fentanyl, and cocaine that were being trafficked from Detroit into Louisville, pushed out onto our streets and across the Commonwealth. These investigations began with LMPD officers, and then they were built and strengthened by into major federal cases by the DEA and the ATF. Just before noon this past Saturday, federal, state, and local officers conducted warrants at 10 locations across this town. We searched those 10 locations in Louisville simultaneously, and as we were doing that, there were 5 search warrants being executed in Detroit, Michigan. Through that work, we successfully apprehended all 9 of the defendants that were charged in 2 separate indictments returned by the federal grand jury on January 7th. In both of those cases, we have charged conspiracy counts, conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute controlled substances. Those crimes carry 10-year minimum mandatory sentences. Beyond the arrests, beyond the prosecutions that will unfold in the courthouse that I'm looking at out those windows, there's more good news to report to the citizens of this community from the operations conducted by the men and women who all of my partners represent here today. Some of it's laid out on the table before me. The rest of it is displayed through 2 pictures to my left. These operations took dangerous controlled substance and firearms off of our streets. I'm so proud of that. Louisville is safer because of what was taken off of our streets this past Saturday in this multi-agency, well-coordinated operation. that involve federal, state, and local partners. Let me summarize broadly what we seized through this operation. Cumulatively, we seized more than 70 pounds of methamphetamine. We seized over 1 kilogram of fentanyl. We seized more than $350,000 in currency. We also seized at least 12 firearms. We are still analyzing those firearms, but we believe at least 5 of those were stolen. This is a tremendous operation that has made Louisville safer because these drugs and these guns are not on our streets. Lives were saved this weekend because of this work. And that happened again because of the men and women of the federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies who were well coordinated on Saturday as they conducted this simultaneous raid of 10 locations across Louisville. Before I turn it over to my partners to talk more about the details of each of those indictments, I want to make sure that all those that participated are well recognized. At the federal level, through the Homeland Security Task Force, we had participants from the FBI, HSI, ATF, DEA, the Marshal Service, and IRS criminal investigations. On the state and local side, we had participants from the Kentucky State Police, LMPD, Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, the St. Matthews Police Department, Bardstown Police Department, the Louisville Airport Police Department, as well as others. All of them sent their best. You would have been proud of the work they did this Saturday. As we announce these indictments, I must stress one thing. We are at the charging stage. At the charging stage, each of these defendants is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. With that, I would like to invite DEA Special Agent in Charge Jim Scott to come forward to discuss the investigation into the Forsyth drug trafficking organization. I'd also like to acknowledge Assistant United States Attorney Rob Bonar, who is leading the prosecution of that indictment for this office. Jim.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jim Scott. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration's Louisville Field Division. I'd like to begin by thanking the U.S. Attorney and his talented team of prosecutors for their continued partnership and support. These types of investigations are not easy, and the success that we had this past week certainly would not have been possible without the combined efforts of all the agencies that you see represented here today. This investigation originated here in Louisville several months ago, and over the course of the past several months, our investigators identified and dismantled a drug trafficking organization that has been flooding our streets with dangerous drugs to include cocaine, methamphetamine, and fentanyl, fueling violence in our city and putting lives at risk. On January 10th, 2026, DEA Louisville executed 6 simultaneous federal search warrants and located and arrested 6 primary targets of this investigation. As a result of these operations, we seized 47 pounds of methamphetamine, over 2.5 kilograms of fentanyl, 1.6 kilograms of cocaine, and a kilogram press that they use in drug production. We also recovered 4 firearms, one of which was reported stolen. We seized 2 vehicles that were used to facilitate narcotics trafficking, 2 electronic money counters, and approximately $294,000 in cash. This organization's chain of supply extended well beyond Kentucky's borders. Our investigators, through some very diligent work, were able to identify the organization's sources of supply in Detroit, Michigan, and through close collaboration with DEA Detroit. As the U.S. Attorney mentioned, there were additional search warrants executed in Michigan this past weekend. where they recovered numerous firearms, bulletproof vests, another kilogram press, and additional quantities of cocaine and fentanyl. The seizures are significant. The street value of the methamphetamine that we recovered this weekend alone is about $270,000. The fentanyl that was recovered represents about 1,250 potentially deadly doses. So let's be clear that these actions prevented countless overdoses and saved lives. Law enforcement is indeed a team sport, and the results that you see before you today certainly would not have been possible without the strong partnerships between our counterparts here in Louisville and our colleagues in Detroit. The DEA remains fully committed to working with any agency to target drug traffickers, to dismantle these violent criminal organizations that prey on our communities, to rid the poisons that they flood into our streets, and to help make Louisville a safer place for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Fantastic work on behalf of DEA. I will now ask ATF Special Agent in Charge, John Noakes, to come forward to talk about the work that ATF is doing to combat violent crime in Louisville, and to also announce the indictment of Isaiah Washington and his co-conspirators. Joining SAC Noakes is Assistant United States Attorney Erwin Roberts, who has done a remarkable job leading this side of the prosecution team. Gentlemen.
Good morning. My name is John Noakes. I'm the ATF Special Agent in Charge of ATF's Louisville Field Division. ATF Louisville uses crime gun intelligence every day to identify areas of our city that are most impacted by violent crime. This approach allows us to focus our resources where they will have the greatest impact and to identify the individuals and groups that are driving the violence in our communities. During the summer of 2025, ATF Special Agents and LMPD task force officers were investigating a series of violent crimes that were occurring in the Russell, Shawnee, and Shively neighborhoods. Using crime gun intelligence, including NIBIN technology, investigators were able to link shootings and identify patterns of violence in those areas. For those that are still unfamiliar with NIBIN, NIBIN stands for the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network. It allows law enforcement to connect ballistic evidence from crime scenes and determine when the same firearm has been used in other shootings. Through this technology, investigators identified 31 NIBIN leads, including 8 non-fatal shootings and 1 homicide in the previous months of this investigation. While we were conducting those investigations, investigators became aware of a separate group who were engaged in the distribution of methamphetamines. Specifically, investigators learned that the group was trafficking large quantities of methamphetamine from Detroit here to Louisville. In response, ATF partnered with DEA Louisville, DEA Detroit. We did that under the Homeland Security Task Force umbrella to conduct a coordinated investigation which targeted the sources of that supply. On January 10th, 2026, ATF conducted enforcement operations here in Louisville, in which we executed 3 federal arrest warrants and 4 federal search warrants. As a result of that enforcement operation, law enforcement seized 44 pounds of methamphetamine, 8 firearms, 5 of which were reported stolen, 1,000 MDMA pills, 1 pound of fentanyl, body armor, and approximately $50,000 in U.S. currency. As a quick side note, a few months ago, the last press event we had here in this room, I referenced the high number of firearms that are being stolen here in our area from vehicles. During Saturday's operation, there were a total of 12 firearms recovered by the various search warrant teams. 6 of those 12, so half the firearms we recovered, had been reported stolen here in the area. Of those 6, 5 of the 6 had been reported stolen from vehicles here in the metro. So I want this to serve as a reminder to secure your firearms, especially do not leave them unattended in vehicles. I want to commend the agents, the officers, the detectives, and the prosecutors involved in this investigation for their diligence, patience, and extraordinary teamwork. The investigative partnerships that we have here in Louisville are truly second to none. This investigation is ongoing, and we will continue to work with our federal, state, and local partners to hold violent offenders and drug traffickers accountable. ATF remains committed to using crime gun intelligence and strong partnerships to prioritize investigations against anyone who uses firearms or narcotics to fuel the violence within our communities. Those individuals and groups should be on notice. Thank you.
Fantastic work. Thank you. Before I ask the FBI to speak, one thing to the citizens of Louisville. I want you to know that you have two tremendously talented prosecutors fighting for you to make this city safe and to make sure that there is no drugs on our street. You have two of the best fighting for you. Not only are they tremendous prosecutors, they're even better men. They're even better fathers and husbands. I'm proud that they're leading these investigations. Thank you, gentlemen. As I told you, the operation conducted this past weekend was the culmination of two indictments, but that operation was led by the Homeland Security Task Force. I talked about that briefly in my last press conference over the summer. But to tell you more about HSTF and its success, I would like to invite forward FBI Special Agent in Charge, Olivia Olson.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. My name is Olivia Olson. I'm the Special Agent in Charge for the FBI's Louisville Field Office. First, I want to commend my law enforcement partners for their exceptional work and collaboration on this case. This operation, like U.S. Attorney Bumgarner mentioned, is in furtherance of the Louisville Homeland Security Task Force, or HSTF. The HSTF's objective is to end the presence of criminal cartels, foreign gangs, and transnational criminal organizations in the United States. The Louisville HSTF is comprised of FBI, HSI, ATF, DEA, IRS, Secret Service, U.S. Marshals, and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. Our HSTF represents the power of partnership, combining federal, state, and local resources to address these threats more effectively than any agency can do on their own. Through this interagency partnership, it is clearly evident we will collectively continue to arrest bad actors, remove drugs and weapons from our streets, and reduce violent crime in our communities. Operations like this that we're talking about today show our unfailing commitment to protecting our community, which is what makes our HSTF particularly strong. We have a number of open investigations involving drugs, weapons, and violence in Louisville, with more to come. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, before I take a few questions about this operation that we did this past Saturday, I'd like to invite forward the other lead of the HSTF, which is HSI, and their acting Special Agent in Charge, Colin Jackson. Colin.
Good morning. I'm Colin Jackson. I'm the acting Special Agent in Charge for Homeland Security Investigations in the states of Tennessee and Kentucky. As my colleagues have shared, last weekend's arrests and seizures highlight the significant impact the Louisville Homeland Security Task Force has made. The actions taken by the task force have prevented a substantial quantity of narcotics from reaching the streets of Kentucky and have delivered a major setback to an organization intent on distributing dangerous drugs in our communities. This operation underscores the strength of collaboration amongst federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. And due to the dedication and hard work of the agents and officers involved, key members of a criminal organization will be held to account for their actions. I'm confident the Commonwealth is safer today as a direct result of the actions we took this weekend. The Homeland Security Task Force was created to end the presence of criminal cartels, foreign gangs, and transnational criminal organizations in the United States. By employing a whole-of-government approach, the task force is uniquely positioned to identify and target these criminal organizations for prosecution. The enhanced interagency cooperation allows us to address threats to the U.S. homeland more effectively and efficiently than any single agency could accomplish on its own. HSI stands proudly alongside our partners on the Homeland Security Task Force in our shared commitment to eliminating the influence of transnational criminal organizations from the United States. Together, we are steadfast in our dedication to protecting our communities, and we will continue to take decisive action to ensure the safety, security, and well-being of the American people. Thank you.
With that, I'll invite 3 or 4 questions if anybody has any about our operation. And Melissa, have we turned over the press releases yet?
Not as yet.
Okay, we'll be issuing a press release shortly as you guys walk out of here. Make sure you grab that. It has the details of the indictments. We'll be passing out later today. We'll pass it out later today. I don't think it's quite ready to be disseminated, but we will get that to you later today. So with that, questions?
What do these arrests mean? Kind of talk about the significance of preparing for these kind of large-scale activities that span between 2 different states.
Thank you for that question. So it's a tremendous undertaking to put together an operation of this size. These, as I said, this operation this past Saturday was the culmination of 2 separate long-term investigations into drug trafficking in Louisville. When we ultimately decided that it was time to make the arrests, we brought together all of our partners across the Commonwealth who were well coordinated in executing search warrants across 10 houses in Louisville simultaneously. That is a tremendous undertaking to be that well coordinated, to make sure it's done professionally and that it is done correctly. And I'm proud to report that that did happen this past Saturday.
Are you able to share the locations of those 10 places that we have?
In time, but not today. Thank you.
You said things are markedly different this year with how we're 2025, your approach to indictments and going after these criminals. What has changed? Is there something different in your approach?
Absolutely, there's something different in the approach. So we have been directed by Attorney General Bondi to charge the most serious readily provable offense. What does that mean? What has changed about the way that my office is conducting business? We are now charging the offense that carries the highest minimum mandatory sentence. At times, we are able to stack charges on top of themselves to increase the minimum mandatory sentence that offenders will face when they get to federal prison. We also have been told to be aggressive in our plea bargaining, not to give cases away. And that if we think a defendant wants us to give a case away, we're to try it. We have implemented that. We are beginning to see the success of it. I believe that you are seeing sentences at the federal level tick up. And those are people that are going to stay behind bars in the Federal Bureau of Prisons for an extended period of time. In the BOP, you will serve 85% of your sentence at least. There is no parole in the federal system. So we're putting bad guys away for longer. Sir.
You talk about the different approach and how you're charging cases and prosecuting. We've done it, Gilbert Corsi from WDRB, we've done extensive reporting related to fraud in licensing branches and non-citizens buying licenses under the table according to whistleblower complaints. This investigation has been going on for more than a year. Can you tell us where you stand in charging that case, presenting it to a grand jury?
Thank you for the question. I can't speak to that at this time. Thank you for the question.
You mentioned the Forsyth drug trafficking organization.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you elaborate on what that is?
So we believe that Mr. Forsyth led a group of conspirators to receive drugs into the Louisville metro area and then to distribute them across both Louisville and then out into our surrounding counties. So we've charged that case as a conspiracy case, and we will pursue it accordingly. I'll take one more question.
Anything you can say about any international connections, any cartels in Mexico, Venezuela, or any other kind of place like that?
I would love nothing more than to offer that to you today, but I think it'd be premature to speak to that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. I'm so proud to stand with these folks today. We are on the right track. Things are getting better in this town. We will love this city, enjoy this city. The city will thrive.